Welcome to this Wood Solutions Campus presentation on the need to sort timber and wood products into groups. That is the need to grade timber. Trees are a living organism that grow in response to their genetic characteristics, local environmental conditions and their age. Many events impact the tree as it grows, including fluctuations in local climate, major windstorms and bushfire. These events and the patterns of the tree's natural growth impact the characteristics of the timber and wood products recovered from them. So the wood is naturally variable. There are many options for converting the log taken from the tree into useful products. Logs can be used as round elements such as posts or columns, sawn into boards, peeled or sliced into veneer, and flaked or chipped into smaller pieces as a resource for manufactured products. These two factors, the natural variability of the wood in the tree and the additional variability generated by the ways that the logs can be processed, leads to highly variable outputs, even in products of the same species, such as these boards sawn from cypress pine. Timber users do not want timber and wood products that are highly variable. They want products that are consistent and suitable for particular jobs or applications. This means products that are consistent in shape and finish as a piece, and consistent in the wood properties important for the application such as strength or appearance. For customers to receive the timber and wood products that they want, the output of the log conversion has to be sorted into consistent groupings. This process is called grading. For wood products, grading is a process of sorting a naturally variable material into groups with similar structural, visual or other properties and characteristics against established limits through an assessment process. This can be by visual assessment, machine assessment or a combination of both. A grade is a single name or term used to describe the sorted group of material, while the document or list that describes the properties and characteristics acceptable in the group, and established limits for them is called a grade definition. If we take any common grade names used for products such as MGP 10 for structural material or medium feature grade for appearance products, we know that behind the name there is a more complex list of descriptions for the material allowed in the group of timber when it is sorted. Grades and grade descriptions also vary with the capacity or perceived capacity of products in the group. For example, there may be many grades to define structural capacity, with grades in a series having different relative levels of performance. So material structurally graded as F17 will generally be stronger than F14 material, and MGP 12 boards will generally have a higher structural capacity than MGP 10 boards. Grade definitions establish the minimum acceptable properties of characteristics allowable in the group. Because these are minimum levels, material with a higher capacity or perceived quality can be included into the group and still satisfy the grade definition. There may be many items or criteria in the grade definitions, and each usually has some limit or acceptable boundary. For example, an appearance plywood grade may allow gum vein in the face veneer, but only if it's shorter than a particular length. In this case, the grade criteria is the presence of the gum vein in the face veneer, while a criteria limit is the amount of gum vein acceptable in the grade. Grade definitions usually bundle their criteria and criteria limits into two groups. The first of these include criteria that deal with the form of the piece, that is its size, shape, straightness and similar characteristics. The second group deals with the quality of the wood in the piece. That can include the aspects of appearance and presence of natural features, or its structural capacity and the size of strength reducing characteristics. Customer demand is a primary driver for grades and the criteria in the grade definitions.
We grade timber because our customers demand different qualities of timber for different applications they're using that wood for.
Yeah.
For example, some customers will be using the timber for high quality appearance products such as tables or commercial joinery, and they demand a nice clean timber with little defect, whereas other customers might be using that timber for internal casework that's not seen, and they demand a different quality of timber for that, and in that the timber is priced differently.
We grade our timber because we're trying to get full range of products out of the timber. So we're grading it for structural, for framing, for all for structure. For F17, we also grade for appearance for joinery products. We also are grading for feature for the new furniture markets that are out there.
Yep.
So we're grading the full spectrum to get the best value out of that board and put it into the appropriate product. So we grade our timber for various reasons, starting right back in the log form. So a log comes in, once you actually open the log up in the sawmill, you actually check the characteristics of the timber and what the log will provide, and from that point you start to grade right there in the sawmill. So if you're grading for Scantling grade, which is green, it can have different properties to as if you're grading for F17 dry to select to standard for furniture and joinery market. Visual characteristics that you're looking for in the select and standards. In the framing and structural market, you're actually looking for strength characteristics and lack of fault. That'll lower the strength of the timber. We grade both structural and appearance grade in green and dry, mostly in your dry, because even though the product is still got the same strength characteristics, it's got the appearance of a clear board that can go into flooring, to joinery, to cabinet making, whereas a framing grade can have face checking, can have some knots, more gum, just more characteristics, and drying D grade is allowed in a structural product than in an appearance product.
Grades and grade definitions are critical aspects of the timber supply and use. They allow a customer to define what they want from the product or supplier, and the producer to define what they can provide to a customer. This provides confidence along the supply chain and the basis of most supply contracts. There are many different ways to establish grades and grade definitions. A grade can be defined in an Australian or international standard. Many timber and wood products grades are defined in the Australian standards, especially products that are required to comply with building regulations. Industry can define a grade and use it with their customers. This commonly happens in Australia with appearance products and can be very common in other countries. Designers can establish a specification which is then effectively a grade or a means of sorting the timber. This can often happen on major projects where the level of performance defined in the standard is thought to be inadequate, or when the relevant Australian or industry grade does not exist. Finally, timber or wood products can be personally selected, which in a way is the most satisfactory method for customers with special demands. In summary, wood processing generates a highly variable output of timber and wood products. Customers want products that are consistent and suitable for their application. Grading is a process of sorting a naturally variable material into groups of material with similar properties and characteristics against established limits through an assessment process. A grade is the name or term used to describe the sorted group of material. The grade definition establishes the properties and characteristics acceptable in the group and limits for each. Grades and grade definitions are a critical aspect of timber supply and use. They allow a customer to define what they want from the producer or supplier, and the producer to define what they can provide to a customer.